I never thought I would be the kind of man to write something like this, but betrayal has a way of stripping away the illusions you carry about love, trust, and marriage. My name is Daniel, I'm 39, and until a few weeks ago, I believed I had built a life with a woman who would never turn her back on me. Her name is Emily. We had been married for 12 years, and while our relationship wasn't perfect, I thought it was solid. We laughed, we argued, we paid bills together, we planned vacations. Ordinary, maybe, but steady, or so I thought. It began with small things, the kinds of details you almost talk yourself out of noticing. Emily became distracted at dinner, her phone screen glowing in her lap when she thought I wasn't watching. She claimed she was staying late at work more often, and when I asked what project was keeping her there, she gave vague answers. Her perfume lingered stronger than usual when she came home, as if she had reapplied it right before walking through the door. I told myself I was being paranoid. We had history, trust, and a home we built together. Why would she risk it? But suspicion is like a splinter. Once it's under your skin, you can't ignore it. The breaking point came one ordinary afternoon. I had taken the day off unexpectedly and decided to stop at the little coffee shop downtown, the one Emily and I used to visit on lazy Sundays. I thought about surprising her, maybe even bringing home her favorite latte as a small gesture. When I walked in, I froze. There she was, seated in the corner booth, not alone but across from a man I had never seen before. Their bodies leaned too close, laughter spilling between them in a way that made my stomach turn. She reached across the table, touched his hand the way she used to touch mine when words weren't enough. The intimacy in that simple gesture hit me harder than any shouted confession ever could. She didn't see me. I stood there, my heart pounding, my throat dry, and for the first time in my life I felt completely invisible to the woman I had loved for over a decade. Every instinct screamed to confront her, to drag her home and demand an explanation, but another thought silenced me. If she could laugh so easily with him while lying to me, then words between us no longer mattered. I turned and walked out. By the time I reached my car, my anger had sharpened into clarity. Confrontation in a crowded cafe would only give her excuses, explanations, maybe even tears designed to keep me tangled in her web. No, I wanted something cleaner, something that would leave no room for her to twist the truth. That night, I sat at the kitchen table with a blank sheet of paper. The silence of the house pressed against me like a weight. I didn't write paragraphs or accusations. I didn't list the ways she had humiliated me, or the hours of doubt she had forced me to carry. I simply wrote one sentence: "Don't come home." I placed the note on her pillow, neatly centered, where she couldn't miss it. Then I packed a small bag, only what I needed for a few days, and left. The strange thing is, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I felt an eerie calm, like the storm had already passed through me and left nothing but wreckage behind. As I drove to a motel on the edge of town, I thought about all the times I had given her my trust without hesitation. Every dinner I cooked, every late-night talk, every promise exchanged in the dark when life felt fragile. All of it had been stolen, cheapened by a smile across a coffee shop table with a man whose name I didn't even know. But here's the part that surprised me. Beneath the pain, there was also relief. For months I had felt like something was slipping between us, something I couldn't hold no matter how hard I tried. Now I knew why. The uncertainty was gone, and in its place stood the harsh, undeniable truth. Still, truth cuts deep. The next morning, her calls started. First tentative, then frantic. My phone buzzed with message after message. "Where are you? Why did you leave? Please talk to me." She begged for a chance to explain, but I already knew explanations were nothing more than another layer of lies. And yet, when she finally showed up at my motel door 2 days later, tears staining her face, I had to decide whether the note I left on her pillow was just a moment of anger, or the beginning of the end. When I opened the door, Emily stood there looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. Her usually polished hair was tangled, her makeup streaked from crying. She clutched her phone in one hand like it was a lifeline. "Daniel, please," she whispered, her voice cracking. "You don't understand. It's not what you think." But the truth is, it was exactly what I thought. I let her inside, Not because I wanted to hear her excuses, but because part of me needed to watch her scramble, to see if she had even a shred of honesty left. She sat on the edge of the bed, wringing her hands, and began spinning her story. The man, she said, was just a coworker. They were meeting to discuss a project, nothing more. The laughter? A silly inside joke. The touch of his hand? A moment taken out of context. She tried to cloak every incriminating detail in a veil of coincidence. But what she didn't realize was that betrayal isn't just physical. It's emotional. And the look in her eyes that day at the cafe wasn't professional. It was intimate. I had seen that same look countless times, but it used to be directed at me. "Emily," I said quietly, "stop lying. You don't touch a coworker's hand like that. You don't smile at them like they're your whole world." Her silence was louder than any denial. Tears streamed down her face as she reached for me. "I made a mistake," she pleaded. "But it doesn't mean I don't love you. Please don't throw away 12 years. I pulled back. "You threw it away when you chose someone else to share pieces of yourself with. You didn't just betray me. You erased us." For a long time, the only sound in the room was her quiet sobbing. She begged for forgiveness, for another chance, for counseling, anything to avoid the finality of the note I had left. But something inside me had shifted. I thought about the man I had become in our marriage, always the one holding things together, always the one giving more than I received. And in that coffee shop, I realized that the person I loved no longer existed. Or maybe she had never been who I thought she was. When she finally left the motel room that night, she took the last fragments of our marriage with her. The weeks that followed were a blur of paperwork, lawyer meetings, and difficult conversations with friends and family. Some tried to convince me to give her another chance, to salvage what was left. Others applauded my decision to end it, telling me I was better off without her. But what mattered most wasn't their opinion, it was mine. For the first time in years, I wasn't second-guessing myself. The doubt, the constant gnawing question of whether I was enough, had vanished. Betrayal had burned away the illusions, leaving me raw but free. One evening, I returned to the same coffee shop. I ordered my drink and sat in the very booth where I had seen her with him. The seat across from me was empty, and for the first time, I didn't feel bitterness when I looked at it. I felt gratitude, because that moment of pain had given me something rare: clarity. Emily still called occasionally, her messages shifting from sorrow to anger to silence. I didn't respond. What could I say? That I missed her? I didn't. That I hated her? I didn't even have the energy for hate. What remained was acceptance. Betrayal has a way of changing you, of breaking the world you thought you knew. But it also forces you to rebuild, to decide who you'll become once the pieces are scattered at your feet. As for me, I chose not to let her lies define me. I chose peace over chaos, truth over comfort, self-respect over empty promises. And in the end, that one simple note, "Don't come home," wasn't just the end of our marriage. It was the beginning of my freedom.